Today's episode is brought to you by podup.com.
Let's be honest, whether you want to admit it or not, you've probably thought at some point to start a podcast. Podcasts are fun. Podcasts are fun. You and I have a good time on here, Dan.
Just get on, talk junk.
Yeah. I mean, it's some dark content. What we're talking about isn't necessarily fun, but we make it fun. We have a good time. And we would never even met each other if it wasn't for podcasts. So
that's true. Podcasts and Canadians.
Podcasts and Canadians. Little D&D thrown in there. I mean, change your life.
Well, there are about 5 million podcasts out there, and around 90% of those stop after just 3 episodes. That's including about 1.8 million that stop before they even start, which we know a thing or two about that, now, to be fair.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately.
Quite a few still on the drawing room floor. So.
Yeah. And of those that do get started and past that 3 episode mark, about 90% of those don't get past 20 episodes. And there's a reason. Podcasting is hard. Well, successful podcasting is hard.
Yeah, it's not just sitting in front of a microphone and talking for an hour, even though sometimes that's what it is for me. It's recording, audio editing, video editing, social media, promotion, blah, 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 all the stuff that Kevin does.
And I do. And finding and paying for all that software to use can be just as big of a headache, not to mention expensive.
Well, with PodUp, you can have a one-stop shop for everything you need to take your podcast to the next level.
With 35 powerful modules with AI integration and one software, you can create, publish, grow, monetize, and manage your podcast with a simple, easy-to-use interface.
Everything from a site builder and recorder to editing for video and audio, live streams, blogs, and transcriptions.
Legal, newsletters, SEO.
Setting up shops, getting ads and sponsorships.
Managing your workflow, files, and even backing up your content.
Set up an account today and get 14 days free. And even schedule a demo with one of PodUp's podcasting experts to see how to start producing and monetizing your very own podcast.
And when you're ready, use our exclusive coupon code TORTURE15 for 15% off whichever package you decide to go with.
And if you're a professional that's even too busy for that, go to podallies.com.
Their done-for-you podcast production and marketing service will take care of the dirty work for you.
Dirty. We're talking websites, social media, editing work, SEO, all done for you. So you can just focus on being the star of the show, like me, and getting on with your day, unlike Kevin, who has to do all the work.
That's why everybody comes is for Dan. And this team of experts will use PodUp software to put your podcast on the map where it belongs. See, they're using PodUp software. It's all one big circle. It's always coming back around.
Like an opposite of a square.
That's right.
There you go. So, go to podup.com and podallies.com and use our coupon TORTURE15 for 15% off. That's TORTURE15 for 15% off.
Podup.com, the ultimate podcasting platform. The subject of this series is a serial kidnapper, rapist, and murderer that used the truck stops and interstate systems of America as his own personal hunting ground. Active possibly for a 10 to 15 year span in the late 70s through the early 90s, he would pick up so-called lot lizards and hitchhikers in the South, West, Southwest, and Midwest to keep them captive in the modified sleeper portion of his tractor trailer, sometimes for weeks. With the use of chains, handcuffs, and his suitcase of horrors, he would make the lives of these women an absolute living nightmare. Not to mention the BDSM and swinger lifestyle he would force onto his reluctant wife. He probably gets it all from his father. The truck stop killer himself. Today we give you episode 1 of Robert Ben Rhoades. I'm Kevin Young.
Where did I come from? Where did I go? That's right, bitches. It's Cotton Eye Joe.
I didn't know which way you were going to go. And this is torture.
I'm here. I've been here the whole time.
I didn't know if you were going to go like the way you went, or if you're going to, since the way you look right now, if you were going to be like, and I'm Daniel Hourigan. Just be serious as possible while looking absolutely ridiculous. For those of you who aren't watching the YouTube, Dan has on a light up rainbow unicorn hat with his thinking cap hat on top of it.
Yo. I got this
with
when I
the
was
sun,
on holidays.
but you know what? It's the sunglasses that pulls it all together.
So I'm recording this episode out my back garden in the middle of the sweet, hot ass Irish summer.
Oh, yeah. What is it? About 60 out there right now? 65.
I don't know what that is in degrees Celsius, but I will say yes. Because we use normal measurements here. You know, 0 is like, you mean 0, and then you just keep going up from there. You know, so I don't know how hot it is. It's not really that hot at all.
No, I wouldn't imagine it's very hot at all.
It's all right.
There have been times where you have messaged me going, "Oh God, I was sweating my ass off today." I was like, "How hot was it?" And you tell me, and I look it up. It's like that was like 60 degrees. I'm like, "You motherfucker! You don't know what hot is."
We get swamp ass just from opening up the fridge. That's how cold it is here.
No, yeah, it was. I think in the 80s here the other day but fuck, I think it was in the 90s here the other day, which is
that was about 30 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. no,
Dear Lord.
Not here.
It's like the 50s here, so.
Man, it gets warm over here. So, yeah. How you doing, bud? Haven't talked to you in a little bit.
Good. Can't complain. Will complain anyway.
Yeah, you could, but won't.
Ah, I will. Find any excuse to, you know. How art thou?
I'm all right. Finally saw the trailer for that new Alien movie.
They put a second trailer out, didn't they? I didn't see it yet. I'm intentionally not watching it. So
I'm not gonna tell you anything. There's a few shot-for-shot remakes from what, old Alien movies. It's like, oh, okay. I don't know how much that goes on through the movie. Just the trailer I saw gives very little away.
Cool.
As to what the story is.
Aliens.
Yeah.
That's the story.
People in space, and then there's aliens, and you see a face hugger at one point, and that's really all they give you.
Cool.
Big guns, stuff like that, stuff that you love from the originals. But
sweet. If they have the pulse rifles back in it, I hope they keep the old classic, terrible 80s sound effects that they had, because I love the sound of those guns. They have them in the video game, alright. There's the...
Oh, yeah.
And, it's so good. Damn, I love aliens.
For any 90s kids out there who are watching Tiny Toons Adventures for my background today, one of my favorite cartoons of all time. And they had a movie out about like Tiny Toon Adventures Summer Break or something like that. And my brother Brian used to watch the show with me before he was my brother was killed by a drunk driver when I was like 8. So, but he always wished that Wile E. Coyote would catch the Roadrunner. That was like his big thing. Like, why catch the fucking Roadrunner? And in the movie, the Tiny Toons movie, Wile E. Coyote, a delivery truck actually runs over the Roadrunner, and all I could think of is, oh, he would have liked that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's a good memory to have. Well, I'm sure there's a million other things we could talk about, but we got quite a bit to get to. Dan, do you know anything about Robert Ben Rhoades, the truck stop killer?
Nope.
No.
I know absolutely zero, except for what he looks like after I googled him, and then I stopped looking at it. Thereafter,
he's a doofy-looking guy, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't know if he was. I didn't know initially if he was pulling that face. If he was.
No, I believe he had a stroke while in prison, and that's what kind of makes him look like that. But if you look at early photos of him, there's nothing creepier than a guy with glasses in BDSM gear.
I see that.
It's so creepy. I mean, it's creepy enough, but for some reason, and that's from somebody wearing fucking glasses. It's creepy as shit. It's really fucking creepy.
It's also the most 80s photo I think I've ever seen. Or 70s.
That would be that. Now that's probably mid 80s. Yeah, that's probably mid 80s because he's BDSM gear, and he doesn't really get big into that until the mid 80s. Oh, tap fell off.
Yeah, and that's the cat.
Oh,
distracting me, bastard.
So
bastard.
Now, do they call a tractor trailer over there a lorry? Is that what you guys call them?
It depends. So, I never say the word lorry because I think it's a really weird word to say. But they will be smaller than. So you have an articulated truck. Yeah, which would be the big fuck off trucks with the trailers on them that can bend.
Sure.
Yeah, they articulate. Then you have your rigid ones as well. Yeah.
Those are more like your delivery trucks and stuff like that. Yeah,
and then things that are kind of smaller than that but bigger than a big van, the in between ones, they'd be lorries. But I think that's more of a UK thing. I think we still just call them trucks.
Okay.
I think I've always done it anyway because I think it's a stupid word. So
I never heard that word before until I started watching Top Gear, and they would use them, and they would use them in that type of stuff. I was like, why are they called that? But whatever.
Yeah, I don't know why they're called that.
I'm sure there's a story. I'm sure there's a reason somewhere, but I guess that's a conversation for another
different podcast. Yeah, torture in trucks.
I apologize to everybody if I sound a little either nasally or congested, or if I'm sniffing a lot, because I'm nasally and congested and I'm sniffing a lot. Because again, with children, they bring things home,
like
and the
lorries.
parents are the ones that have to deal with it. So we just got over being sick. Like, you can go back 2 episodes and hear me coughing and sniffing, and then I get like 1 episode where I'm good, and now I'm back to it. So I'm sure I'm going to cough like shit every time I laugh. Which, this isn't really a story we should be laughing at, but you know how we are.
We'll probably find a way.
It's bound to happen.
Well, after seeing that picture of him in the BDSM gear, then I'm sure we're in for a fucking right old hootenanny.
Yeah, we'll get to some of that. We will get to some of that today. First off, the main sources for this series is the book Roadside Prey by Alva Bush, along with Season 4, Episode 14 of The World's Most Evil Killers, and Season 3, Episode 1 of The FBI Files. Before we start, though, I do need to say that the information between these three sources don't always line up. So many different points of view. Sometimes the small details get muddy. Like the type of truck Robert used, Roadside Prey says he had a white International, while the world's most evil killers claimed he had a red Peterbilt. So it does make you wonder if they couldn't get that right. What else did they get wrong? It gets a little frustrating because the investigators of the case were the ones that provided all the source material, so they should know. So we're going to do our best.
It was a mid-sized sedan. That's what it was.
He pulled up in his gray Toyota Corolla. I almost said Ricola. Toyota Ricola.
Toyota Ricola.
It's what you drive when your throat hurts. But yeah, if you hear something on here that doesn't 100% line up with anything you may have heard before about him, that's why. But the main parts of the story, the meat of it, should be the same. But, whatever. It's just...
Look, I trust you, Kevin.
Well, I appreciate that. I was looking through the book, and she even goes out of her way to tell you what kind of truck it is. And then I'm watching this other stuff about him, and they're like, well, you're looking for a red Peterbilt. It's like, well, wait a minute. This happened, like, right after this happened. And when this happened, he had a white International. And when this happened, he has a red Peterbilt. Which one? It gets frustrating when the small details, like, at least for me. Some people are like, oh, they must have got it wrong, and they're fine. But me...
I never heard of a Peterbilt.
Peterbilt?
Peterbilt.
Yeah. That's what the...
now I see.
It's one of the trucks in Cars was a Peterbilt. Get out of the way, Mac. Mac! I'm a Peterbilt, for God's sake. I can drive that, yeah.
That's what most people in Europe would refer to as an Optimus Prime truck.
An Optimus Prime truck. That is what a tractor trailer looks like. That's a tractor trailer. That's your typical...
That's your America
truck driving down the road.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So, well, we got a lot of shit, so let's just get right into it. Robert Ben Rhoades was the third of 4 children born to Faye Rhoades and Army Private Ben Rhoades on November 22nd, 1945 in Council Bluffs, Iowa at 5:20 a.m. Just in case you wanted to know that.
Just remember that bit's going to be important later.
That's going to be important later on. The whole investigation is, when was he born? Dun, dun, dun. 32-year-old Ben was stationed in West Germany during the latter part of World War II, leaving 31-year-old homemaker Faye to raise the 3 children on her own for the time being. And by all accounts, it was a fairly average family. Robert had been pretty hush-hush on the subject of his childhood, never going into specifics about what he would endure in his youth, but I haven't been able to find anything disparaging about his mother or his time being raised solely by her. However, that changed when Robert was in elementary school. At some point, not exactly sure when, you'll hear varying accounts of years and ages, so we'll just say early elementary school age. Ben was discharged from the service and returned home to their modest life on Avenue D. Ben got a job at the fire department, and life seemed to be normal. But interviews with Robert later in life would cast a different light on his life in Council Bluffs. Ben was a pretty violent man, if you believe Robert, many in the family being on the receiving end of said violence. And if Robert's confessions are to be believed, as limited in detail as they are, he may have been not only physically abused, but also sexually abused. And according to psychologists, the fact that he refused to share the details of his early abuse, even when it might have spared him from the death penalty, suggests perhaps that the abuse was extremely traumatic and have had a formative effect as to what he would do later in life, possibly subconsciously seeing his father as a role model and following in his footsteps.
See, you be a dick, you breed a dick.
Dicks breeding dicks up here.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Two types of people in this world, Chuck. Assholes and dicks. There's assholes, dicks, and pussies. So there's 3 people.
There's 3 people. Yeah, there's 3. Wasn't Betty White said you shouldn't call people pussies, you should call them testicles, because pussies can really take a pounding.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Leave it to Betty White to shine some light on it. Other than that, Robert led a pretty normal social life, attending Monticello High School, where he played football, wrestled, joined the boys' glee club, French club, and sang in the choir. Now, that's not to say that Robert was a perfect little angel. His sophomore year, he was arrested for tampering with a motor vehicle, probably trying to steal it. And in January of '64, he was arrested again for fighting in public.
Or
I
he's
mean,
fucking
you're not gonna...
tampering with the motor vehicle.
It's just somebody who's like friends with his dad pulls up and sees Robert's just got his dick in the exhaust pipe. Like, we're just going to put down that you were tampering with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he pled guilty to the fighting, which I don't know why you have to say fighting in public, because if he's in private, it doesn't matter. You can fight in private with somebody if you want to. Just me and the boys at home, just swinging, just
wrestling,
putting things someplace where you don't know. It doesn't matter. But then the biggest shock of their lives, just 2 months before Robert's high school graduation, his father, Ben, was arrested. His charges? Performing lascivious acts on a 12-year-old girl, specifically with his mouth.
No.
Dan's like, no, don't like that. No, don't like that at all.
No.
May 4th, 1964, Ben was let go from his job at the fire department and pled guilty to the charge. He received a suspended sentence, and I'm hoping that maybe this is just the big divide between now and then, because they took stuff like this much less seriously as they do now. Oh, you were raped by somebody? Sucks to be you. You know, pretty much one of those things back then. Yeah. Rub some dirt into it. Sally forth. So I'm hoping this is just like how they handled it back then, and it'd be a little different now. But he received a suspended sentence and was placed on probation, with the stipulation that if he violated probation, he would be required to serve the original 3-year sentence for pretty much raping a minor.
I don't think it's pretty much anything about it. It's just
roundabout.
Straight up. Yeah, fuck that. There ain't no grey area there, people.
Well, she consented. Nah, she was 12. Can't really do that when you're, 12. When you're still, in underoos, junior high. No. This was something similar to what we saw from Kenneth Bernardo, the father of Dan's buddy Paul, who was sexually abusive to his daughter and walked around town in his pajamas peeking into people's windows, a prelude to Paul's own sexual assaults. So, dicks breed dicks. Like,
innocent, dangerous.
Even though Ken wasn't technically Paul's father, but sometimes nature versus nurture, or nurture versus nature. Robert graduated.
Yeah, their kids are always words escape me. Yet again.
Emulate.
Well, yeah, they're very quick to kind of copy and kind of learn from shit like that. Especially, they're very impressionable.
Yeah.
And sometimes, especially in the cases of the likes of Paul Bernardo, they're fucking idiots. So, yeah.
That's the two worst things about Paul Bernardo is he was a borderline sociopath and he was dumb.
Yeah.
So he put those two things together. It's the worst thing in the world to have a dumb sociopath. I mean, a smart sociopath isn't much better because then they know how to get, buck the system. They know how to get around things, but dumb sociopath's going to do just as bad as shit. It's going to be messier.
I won't do. I'm not going to get into it with him. No.
I don't want to talk about Paul Bernardo anymore. I'm done. I thought we were through with him. Fuck you, Paul.
I hope he's one of our Patreons. Fuck you, Paul.
Dude, that would be weird. Pull up Patreon. Be like, what's going on? You have one new subscriber. Paul Bernardo. No, it'd be Invisible Darkness has joined the chat.
Yeah. Invisible Darkness 724.
Actually, that'd be the greatest thing ever because then we could just do I just repost the Paul Bernardo series over and over and over. Be like, listen to this.
I'm so tempted to change my PSN name to Invisible Darkness.
Now, Robert graduated in June and almost immediately enlisted in the Marine Corps. 2 years later, while Robert was stationed in Okinawa, Ben committed suicide in jail after being arrested for molesting yet another child. Which is going to happen when he does it once and you go, probation.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Literally, it's a case of he does it and they went, Ben. And he went, yeah. No. Not again now. Okay. And then you went
We've told you about this. We've told you about this. Keep your tongue to yourself around the children. Why is he driving so slowly past the elementary school? Now, Robert was then arrested in both 67 and 68 on the East Coast for robbery and was dishonorably discharged from the military. So it was back to Council Bluffs to live with his mother. At some point afterwards, he met a woman and got married. Now, you should know by now that I looked fucking everywhere for information on this woman, and there is nothing.
Did you check your pocket?
I checked my pocket. I checked the books. Nothing. Not one
internet said nothing.
One goddamn iota of info other than they were married for 4 years and had one son. And yeah, before you ask, I also looked for info on the son and got bupkis. And seems as that Robert doesn't really have any type of relationship with his son throughout their lives. Probably for the best. The best thing that man could have ever done for his kid is go the fuck away.
Yep.
And when we get more into it, you'll see why. Because he's not a good family man at all.
Oh, I assumed because we were doing an episode of this podcast on him that he was an absolute gent of a man. I mean, wonderful human being.
Some of the serial killers were actually decent family. Dennis Rader was a family man. It turned, he was the BTK killer, but, he was a family man. And apparently he was perfectly fine.
So was Hitler.
Yeah, and he might have been perfectly fine as a father.
Yeah.
Not the best role model, I suppose. Yeah. It's like, Mom, Dad's going on his tangent again. Can we just play catch or something? I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
But,
he's goose step saluting around the fucking front garden again.
Now, while he was still married, he attended teaching school and subsequently dropped out. He also tried to become a law enforcement official, like so many other psychopaths and sociopaths have, but was rejected due to his past arrest and dishonorable discharge. And he probably showed up for like police training with the BDS.
for his dishonorable discharge.
He probably showed up in his police training in full BDSM gear. It's like, I'm all leathered out. Let's go. Yeah. I use these chains.
I was going to say it. The nipples have tassels.
So, for whatever reason, he up and moves to Houston, Texas. No real rhyme or reason for it that I could find. Again, just fucking infuriating. He gets a handful of just medial humdrum jobs. Stores, supermarkets, warehouses, restaurants. And even a driver for the Houston Chronicle. The only job out of the lot he actually enjoyed. See, Robert wasn't exactly what you would call a model employee. He was pretty shit at almost every job he had. Showing up on time.
You finally have something in common, Bob.
Showing up on time, working with others, completing tasks, taking orders. These things just weren't on. These things just weren't on his radar, so to speak. Not killing all the women he worked with, stuff like that. Yeah,
so not keeping his hands to himself.
Yeah. But the driver job fit him well. Out on your own, no boss to look over your shoulder. Probably pulling over from time to time to whack one off, because Robert has a heightened sexual appetite, as you will come to see. So being on the road suited him just fine. And by the time he was in his late 20s, mid-1970s, he was an over-the-road trucker. Oh, and at some point during all this, he gets married again. But it also doesn't last, and they get a divorce. And no, I wasn't able to find any information on that marriage either. And yes, I'm really fucking angry about it. It's like you read in the book, and you watch the videos, and they're like, he gets married 2 times, and then it's like, wait, you're skipping over a large portion of shit that's going on. What the fuck? Who are these people who are marrying this man?
Integral backstory information right here.
I need to know. It's like, at some point, he was born, and then he grew up. It's like, no, wait, there's a bunch of stuff you're missing. What's going on?
So Robert was born in 1945 at 2 a.m. or whatever the hell fucking time it was. 5 a.m. or whatever the fuck
5:20. 5:20 a.m.
It's like, then nothing happened for 30 years.
It's like, suddenly, is he Jesus?
He was a 30-year-old man.
Is he Jesus in the Bible? Yeah. He's a little kid, and all of a sudden, now he's in his 30s, and he's got a bunch of dudes following him everywhere? What the fuck? What happened?
His daddy's done questionable things to people? Sounds like Jesus to me.
Maybe Robert Ben Rhoades is Jesus. He will hang out with a lot of, like, unsavory people later, picking up, sex workers and shit. Like his best girl was a sex worker, even though it never actually says in the Bible that she was a prostitute. Everybody just assumed. Kind of like Humpty Dumpty. Never says he's.
Well, there was a whole thing I read before about saying that that the Catholic Church did it to, that she never was, and was all bullshit because they wanted to slander her and stuff like this.
Sure.
But I was gonna say, Bob rolling around the place. It was 12 buddies.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I don't know if Bob had 12 friends or not.
Well,
his dad sexually assaulted a 12-year-old. I mean,
there's
all the numbers are lining up.
It all comes full circle.
Big circle, full circle. Anyways, it was most likely at this time, while driving over the road across the country, that Robert gained a fascination with BDSM and swinging. He loved tying women up, watching them have sex with their partners, watching his partners have sex with other men and women, women being bound and whipped for pleasure. So much so that his CB handle on the road was Whips and Chains. And sometimes he went by Dusty. Do you ever play with a CB when you were younger?
Crusty.
Dusty.
I know, yeah, but I just thought crusty. No, I didn't. I know what they are, obviously, but they're not really a thing here. They probably wear, I'm pretty sure here is small enough you can just shout across to get somebody breaker.
My buddy RJ had a CB. A bunch of teens and guys in their early 20s had them here in town, and you come up with like weird names. We had one guy went by Ducky.
Nice.
My buddy RJ went by Urge, I think.
So long before gamer handles.
Yeah, it was pretty much the original online gamer handle.
Yeah.
Group 6-4-2069 at your service. What you need?
Yeah.
It's
cool Python 24985-728.
Randomly generated.
Because that's an original idea. So Master Puppets is already taken.
We got on there one night and we were telling everybody our name was Papa G Home Skillet, and we got yelled at and told to get off the channel. Like, get off this channel. Like, sorry.
You don't tell Papa G Home Skillet what to do, motherfucker. He tells you what to do.
You don't tell Papa G Home Skillet what to do. Papa G Home Skillet tells you.
Yeah. Get off this shit.
And they come searching for you. Some odd conversations on those things. I mean, it was mostly just like, hey, we got, police up the road. Watch where watch what's going on. And you have people talking about what they were hauling, where they were going, if they're stopping to eat somewhere. Every once in a while, you'd get like a sexy conversation. Just
how you doing there, big boy?
And for
this
and
is
for
big Bertha.
And for like 13-year-olds listening to it, you're thinking, oh yeah, because you're not thinking of what the truck drivers actually look like. You're thinking, what Hustler has told you they should look like, and that's what you're imagining, but that's not what they
all actually look like.
Yeah,
Pam from Arthur.
Yeah.
And then John Tommy get good old Robert over the CB, but like, sticks and stones may break my bones, but leather and chains excite me.
But I would gather to think that Robert probably had an idea of BDSM before he went out on the road. But the experience of being out in different places, able to kind of let himself go, maybe stop at a BDSM club here or there, more than likely pulled him in more and more to the culture and lifestyle. But, I would imagine it was something that was on his radar long before that.
Yeah. That's because the first time he's talking to somebody and they asked him to do something, and he said, I can't right now, I'm a little tied up. He went straight away. He's like, I think I'm onto something here.
Cha-ching!
Yeah.
By now...
Because you can't turn the steering wheel in the truck because there's something obstructing it.
He's just turning it like this.
Yeah. Dimple Dick Bob sitting beside him looking all sad.
It's like, I can't do that because mine's short and fat.
Long live the cube. Long live the cube.
By now it's about 1983, and I and many in law enforcement will believe that Robert has probably already begun torturing and killing young women. Big surprise, I know. But since there isn't any evidence at this point, we can't say for sure.
But they can say he married 2 women, though, and there's no fucking shit to do with that.
And he had his son, even though apparently there's no evidence anywhere on the internet. Anywhere, but sure, let's just say allegedly. He does tell one victim, survivor, I will say, he tells one survivor that he's been somewhere near the late 80s, early 90s, that he has been doing this for 15 years. So that would take him back to the beginning of the 80s, end of the 70s. So that, since there isn't any evidence, can't say for sure. We do know that, though, that he already had a violent nature towards women. Enter Debbie Davis. I don't know what word I was going to say, but it wasn't Davis. Debbie. That's probably closer to what it was going to be.
Debbie DeBouchier.
Now, Debbie, in her mid-20s at the time, was kind of at an impasse in her young life. She was in the middle of a failing marriage with 3 kids to care for. Neither her or her husband could afford to get a divorce, so they just kind of cohabitated. But one girl's night out at a local Western bar in Houston, a tall man in a pilot's uniform approached her and asked her to dance.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Would you like to go back to my mansion? Catch me if you can.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was Catch Me If You Can, not Now You See Me. That was during a movie.
Yeah.
That was The Magicians.
A different one. He's like, now I'm Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah. I always get those two mixed up.
Oh yeah, because they look so much alike. I always get Chris Pratt and Denzel Washington mixed up. It's the same thing. Now, she accepted when he asked her to dance, and the two danced several times before he left. Now, the next weekend, she and a friend went back to the bar, and mid-conversation, a waitress comes up and asks her, quote, "Is your nickname Short Skirt?" Which might be the dumbest fucking nickname I've ever heard in my life, other than anything that Paul Bernardo would give to himself. I mean, it's Short Skirt. Oh, hey, Short Skirt. Come on. But Debra acknowledged that it was, and the waitress pointed to a man across the bar and said that the gentleman over there wanted to buy her a drink. It was the pilot. She approached him, knowing he had never given him her name, and asked how he knew it, and he only smiled. When asked what his name was, he replied, quote, "Dusty Rhoades." And for all of you wrestling fans out there, this is a kick in the nuts. One of the most beloved figures in wrestling history. I don't think the two had anything
of Cody.
Mm-hmm. And Dustin.
Anybody? Yeah, I was going to say, got out Goldust.
Goldust?
Fucking loved Goldust, man.
Oh, he's so fucking great.
Yeah.
He's still wrestling.
I know. He's like an AEW or some shit, is he?
Yeah. Yeah. He's on his last, he quote calls it his last ride. Wow. But the time period, Dusty Rhoades was wrestling at the time, but he wasn't like the megastar he turns into. Yeah, I don't think either one of them, I don't know if either one of them actually knew anything about one another. If Dusty was wrestling, it would have been a territorial thing. He's from Georgia, so he probably would have been in that area. Robert Ben Rhoades is over in Houston, so I don't know how much those two actually would have. I would like to think that Dusty Rhoades didn't know anything about Robert Ben Rhoades. Robert Ben Rhoades might know something about Dusty Rhoades, but
yeah, one would hope.
Yeah. What do you do? She didn't buy it. She didn't believe that his name was actually Dusty Rhoades. And he told her he would only tell her his real name if she agreed to marry him. So the two head off to Vegas. Just joking. They don't. Debbie's not that dumb.
I was going to say, finally we find one of his brides.
Finally we meet one. The two would actually spend the next few months meeting up and talking on the weekends. No hanky-panky other than a kiss goodnight every once in a while. Robert kind of held off. He was probably able to do that because he was getting all his jollies, kidnapping, raping, and torturing women other places. He didn't need to do it with her.
Yeah.
So, but he was apparently an outlet for her frustration over her failing marriage, and he made her feel like a queen. She told him about having trouble paying bills and feeding the kids. So he handed her his entire paycheck so she could take care of things. Possibly because she was so taken aback by this generous offer, or simply because she was living in a state of denial, she never questioned why Dusty the pilot's paycheck was made out to Robert Ben Rhoades from a trucking company.
Sky Trucks. That's what it is. Sky trucks.
Sky trucks. It's a fucking Family Guy again. It's Peter flying around in his fucking pickup truck because he put jet fuel in it.
Yeah, that's how physics works.
That's how it
chemistry.
Is. Now, not long after that, he professed his love for her, and the two were finally intimate. And from what she herself says, their first time was great. To quote Roadside Prey, she received every consideration a woman could expect in a tender, loving relationship. Ew.
All crammed into 2.5 minutes.
They're just right before they do anything, he grabs the side of her face. It's only going to be 45 seconds, but this is going to be the most intense 45 seconds of your life. I need you to hold on and don't hold your breath. You may pass out. Go.
Keep your hands and arms inside the vehicle at all times.
You may hear weird animal noises. They're not coming from me. Don't ask any questions.
It's business time. No, it's time for business. It's business time. Ooh.
He just stops. He starts going, Armageddon! Armageddon!
Yeah.
Oh, that's what felching is. Oh.
If Richard Gere can do it, I can.
That's a vicious rumor. I will not have the good name of Richard Gere sullied on this podcast. And all the time I was writing this and researching it, I never once think that Leonardo DiCaprio, Jesse Eisenberg, or Richard Gere would be brought up. But you just never know.
We're just getting started. There you go.
Watch out, celebrities.
Yeah.
Who's next? Oh, fucking hell. You've all heard us talk at nauseum about how much we love thebeardstruggle.com and to use our coupon code TORTURE19.
From the oils and balms to the growth kits and shampoos, we love us some Beard Struggle. And saving money with our code TORTURE19.
Well, now the Beard Struggle has a private VIP membership, the Viking Elite Black Card. It's composed of a community of beardsmen with access to exclusive deals, priority shipping, pricing, and perks with their premier partners.
You'll get year-round access to all special reserve and black collection scents, and get to take part in the decision-making, casting your vote for the scents they revive and join exclusive beta product testing to shape their upcoming launches.
Stand apart with their exclusive Black Card apparel and merchandise, attend exclusive events and meetups around the globe.
Custom NFC functionality allows you to easily refer customers and earn commissions with a tap, and you could win monthly cash and product giveaways.
Extended money-back guarantee, free shipping insurance, and priority customer service with a dedicated line ensuring quicker response times and priority assistance.
Not to mention getting unmatched discounts on their partner brands.
Yeah, partners like Warg Fitness, Armorillo Coffee Beans,
Heathen Motors, Leviath Apparel,
Stone Cot Fine Writing Supplies, Alehorn, Motor City Axe,
Bearded Geek Crafts, Black Island Leather, and more.
Sign up for 1 month, 3 months, or a 1-year subscription. Cancel anytime.
But be quick, because only 1,000 worthy individuals will be able to get a card at a time.
Beardstruggle.com. Do what's right for your beard. Do what's right for your face.
Sort your fucking beard out.
On their next date, when they went back to the bar, before she could get out of the car, he told her he had a surprise and to close her eyes and stick out her hand. She did, and he slapped a handcuff around her wrist. Now, she immediately started to freak the fuck out, as you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Telling him to take it off, and he told her, quote, "No. You get away from me every time we come here, and I'm not going to lose you tonight." You know what women love? When you hold their hand. Just hold their hand. Really.
Yeah.
They enjoy it. Most of them. Some people don't like to be touched, and I understand that. But my wife, if I'd put my hand out and she'd hold my hand all fucking day if I wanted her to.
Yeah, I get offended when she doesn't. And vice versa.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing of hands out and next thing nothing happens and it's like, how dare you? She's like, turns into Greta Thunberg. How dare you? You've ruined my life.
Deb got out of the car and he just laughed. Told her it was a joke and took the cuff off. She was alarmed but decided to laugh it off as a really stupid joke and try to put it behind her.
Then he tried to put it behind her.
Ladies, all ladies, I'm going to get on a soapbox here for a little bit. I don't mean to talk down to anyone. I really don't. But I'm going to get on a soapbox here. If a man does this type of thing, tries to confine you somehow without you telling him you want him to, or without him asking if you'd be into it and you giving your consent, he just decides to do it. And when you freak out or become concerned or demand to be released, he, just joking, run, fucking run, and don't stop running. I hate to actually have to say this, but I know there are people out there that this happens to. They're just telling themselves that it's fine. It's just his sense of humor. It's not. It's neither of those things. It's not fine. It's not a sense of humor. It's a precursor. Get the fuck out while you can. Brings it up. And you
Same
tell him,
goes to all the men out there. Because we know they can be victims too.
They can.
Apparently there's actually a very extremely high percentage of male victims of spousal abuse.
There are. And, but it...
You hear that, honey? Kevin says you beat me. Physically and emotionally.
That door's just going to come flying open. Just boom, boom, boom. What did you say?
Lucky enough, I think she's asleep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, damn right. Make me a sandwich. I'm only messing. I make all the food in this house. Nobody in this house makes me a sandwich except for me.
Except for eggs. You've told me she makes all the eggs.
Oh, no. That's changed now. I'm
has it changed?
Yeah, I'm all about the whole lot of it, basically.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think they even know how to use a microwave at this fucking stage. So.
If he brings it up and you tell him no, that you're not into that kind of thing, and he drops it, then hey, there's not a problem if he asks. Like, hey, you into this type of stuff? Because you're never not going to know if you don't ask. Like, Steph and I have had the conversation. Neither of I are into it, so it hasn't been brought up since. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's the doing it anyways to see what happens, then playing it off like it's not a big deal. That's the problem. And that's my fucking word of shit. That's my fucking word of the wisdom of the day. Rainbow Star, the more you know, NBC. It so take that for what you will. All right, that's my advice to you.
It's been a public service announcement from Kevin Young.
That's right.
It's a very good word of wisdom, though, Kevin.
Thank you. If he's being a dick, just leave. That's a good one. Now, the beginning of 1984, Deb and her children had moved into Robert's apartment. And from what, again, she has said in interviews, the next 6 months were great. She was calling him Bob now. Bob would go off to work, and when he would come home, he would be a family man, helping with any issues with the kids, making sure bills were paid, food's in the home, just your typical father-husband stuff, even if he wasn't that yet. And then he decided that it was time to take Deb somewhere special. He bought her a nice dress and took her to a place he only called the club. Hey, babe, I'm going to take you to the club. Penis?
The baton.
Call it the octagon. She followed him through the building to assigned seats at a table with 3 other couples she didn't know. She started talking to one of the other women at the table, but couldn't really understand what she was talking about. The woman asked her, quote, "You don't know what goes on here."
So I see where this is going.
When out on the dance floor, Deb asked Robert what the woman was talking about. And he said, quote, You've never heard of swingers? Just dancing and bobbing around.
Yeah.
Once things were explained a little better to her, she told him, quote, quote, "That's sick. Why did you bring me here?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, he told her he wanted her to experience life.
Look, this shit isn't like spicy food, right? Like you can turn around a relationship and like you give things kind of like that to see, hey, test that kind of boundary. If they turn around and say, no, I don't like shit that spicy, then you're like, yeah, cool. You know what I mean? They're the sort of things you can just kind of throw in front of them and be cool about it. You don't bring somebody to a fucking swingers club.
Listen.
What
I got caught putting mushrooms in my wife's spaghetti one time, and I thought she was going to leave me.
Mm.
I don't
you told me that, yeah.
I don't think that I would just jump straight to, oh, it's a swingers club, and just hope for the best. I don't think that's what you do. Again, there are certain things that you can try without, too much of a conversation. This probably not one of them. Now, again, if that's your lifestyle, fucking rock out with your cock out. Then all the power to you. But
yeah, couldn't care about that. But you don't spring it on somebody.
Don't spring it on somebody. You walk home. You get home and you go to the bedroom, and it's your spouse with like 5 other people. Yeah. Like, thought you might be into it.
And hey, like you said, if they are, then that's cool. But
that's
you
great.
Don't spring that shit on somebody. You
have the conversation beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, whatever. Whatever. They went back to the table, sat down, drinking. She was obviously uncomfortable the entire time. Then it hit midnight, and it was time for women's only dance. And all the women, minus Debra, went to the floor and started dancing, kissing, and grinding on one another, exposing themselves to the room. Deb stood up, slapped Robert across the face, and stormed out. You're thinking, fuck yeah. You go, girl.
Yeah, except...
Look at my hair, yeah.
Sadly, we know what Robert's like, so...
The problem is she won't go far enough. She won't go and then keep going. She goes so far and then stops and waits. Then, and I'll state this just like the book does, because it really shines a light on just how much of a little bitch Robert was. In the car, Bob scolded her for being so naive. Then, like a little boy, he pouted because his feelings were hurt. Debra wouldn't play the way he wanted her to. And that's pretty much that's Robert Ben Rhoades. But I want you to suck somebody else's cock. Why won't you? It's just... He's such a little bitch.
God damn it, Robert.
But this is also the perfect way to sum up Robert and Deb's relationship. She didn't want to do things. She thought it was weird, and so he would get pissy until he got his way, which he eventually will. He'll continue to pressure Debra into returning to the club. She was soon completely manipulated by him. He made sure she was 100% dependent on him. She gave up her social interactions with friends. When she gave him what he wanted, he was easy to live with. He gave her compliments and gifts and attention. And when she refused, he would get mean and pouty and reject and ignore her. So she relented and went back to the club with him more and more. And then she would just drink more and more to get more comfortable. Getting hit on by both men and women, Debra was constantly turning people down, and Robert was getting more and more irritated. And things began to escalate with Robert. He started taking invitations to house parties with club members, something Debra felt even more uncomfortable with. And at one of these parties, while sitting in the quote-unquote safe zone of the living room, she noticed that
the sofa covered in plastic.
You stay in this 6 foot by 6 foot area, no one will touch you. You step out of it, I can't promise you anything.
It's like a horde of zombies at the edge of it waiting for...
It's I Am Legend when the sun's going down and you can see it moving and they're all like, yeah, we'll get you soon. Yeah, we're gonna get you. And then the dog gets it. And it's sad. Anyway.
Waiter ruined the movie. He just described the ending of Marty and Me. Just in case anybody's wondering.
Oh, dude. One of the only movies that I have ever cried at was Marley and Me. You've never watched it?
Nope.
Man. It's a tough one. It's a feel-good movie until the end, and then it's a
that's
gut
one of the
punch.
reasons I think I don't want to watch it.
And you know it's going to happen. You know it's coming. You know that a movie like that.
I knew it before that movie was even released. What the fuck was going to happen? Like everybody.
Yeah,
knew.
you know, going to that movie, be like, this is going to be a lot of fun till it's not, and then it is. Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and then it's really not, and it sucks.
It's the thing. I don't know what it is about animals that kind of cause that. Like it's like that Blair Witch video game came out a few years back, and the scenes that are shown in the trailer of a dog that's with you. And one of the top comments was like, I swear to fucking Christ, if something happens to that dog. It's like, we all know something's going to happen.
Riot. Yeah. It's because they're innocent creatures. There's, all animals are...
This dickhead here, isn't it? I'm telling you now.
They're just living their lives. The what humans do really don't have anything to do with them. And what happens to them is sad because they're just they're sweet, innocent creatures. They live by instinct. Yeah, that's all there. Anyway, she got up out of the safe zone and went searching around the house. She came to find him in a bedroom, having sex with another woman. He saw that she had found him, and all he could say was, quote, I'll be through in just a minute. So she ran out of the house, but was convinced to come back so she could get a ride home. Robert was waiting for her. As they drove home, he yelled, telling her to grow up. Then he stopped the car and kicked her out, took off. She didn't have her purse or her shoes. So she started walking the 30 miles back home.
Jesus.
Yeah. Not long after, Robert came back to get her, followed by a police car. He had been pulled over for speeding and had to explain the women's shoes and handbags in his car. Just speeding,
how close
officer.
How close they came to nabbing his ass.
He claimed that the two were arguing, and she jumped from the car while he was driving. The police looked him up, only an outstanding traffic ticket on his record, and they let the two of them go. Which, honestly, there's not a whole lot more he could have done. The police officer could have asked her if she wanted help or something like that, but if there's nothing new on his record, especially nothing violent, not a whole lot of police officers.
Yet, anyway.
Not.
Yep. You have to wonder, if cops like that end up in incidents like that, where years later would they recognize, hey, that's the guy I pulled over that time? Would they have the same thing that whole thing of the guy that could have shot Hitler?
Yeah.
Do you have those same thoughts? I wonder, oh God, Funny. Despite the fact there's nothing to nab him on then. But,
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, this is about 5 or 6 years before he'll be picked up. So, maybe, depending on how much the police officer pays attention to the news after that. But
yeah, true.
God, I mean, I can imagine if like you're like the police officers that sent Jeffrey Dahmer back into his apartment with the
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't think they much gave a shit because they were homophobes anyway and didn't give a fuck about gay people.
They wanted no part of it. Yeah.
Bunch of gay guys are dead. Who cares?
My cat's chasing a spider.
Chasing a what?
A spider.
Oh, get it.
The thing is, though, there's a part, because this room is kind of, the stairs goes up past here, there's a big slopey bit.
Yeah.
The spider's up there and he can't get up it and stay up. He keeps sliding back down, so he keeps going up and going,
I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you.
Cats.
Now, not long after, they went to the boat of a high-powered executive for a meetup. Once she begged him not to make her go, he said, quote, "You're never going to grow up, are you? You need to open your eyes a little bit. This happens all the time. There's nothing wrong with it." And again, there's nothing wrong with it as long as she consents to it. Otherwise,
yeah,
there's a lot wrong with it.
Peer pressuring asshole, Bob.
Robert again had sex with another woman while Deb refused to join in. Again, Robert was furious. They met up with the couple a second time. This time, the executive's wife drank so much she passed out, and Robert told Debra, quote, "Watch this," and then proceeded to rape the woman as she lay unconscious. Debra was obviously irate. And you could say, oh, well, they were there for that anyway, so it's not rape. No, it's still rape.
Oh,
She's
is,
unconscious.
Yeah.
She's unconscious. That's assault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't give me your fucking semantics. Well, they were here anyway for that particular reason. No, that doesn't fly.
Nope.
Now, back at the club, they met another couple, and Deb actually goes through with it, having sex with the man while Robert did whatever Robert does with the woman. He was overjoyed. She hated herself. Now, by November of 1985, Robert was no longer driving over the road. It's almost universally accepted that by this time, Robert was kidnapping, torturing, and murdering hitchhikers and runaways. Deb noticed that when Robert would come back from a trip, he was usually in good spirits and was fairly nice to her and the kids. But when he went a while without driving, he would get increasingly more sexually and physically abusive. This was probably because he wasn't getting it out of his system, like if he was able
Getting into somebody else's system.
Drove. Yeah. Yeah. That's one way to put it. Because here's the thing about Robert that we haven't gotten to yet. Robert had set himself up with a little torture dungeon inside his truck. It's not 100% proven that he had it at this point, but it would at least help explain why he was so bad at his job. I mean,
spent his whole time in the fucker back in the truck.
The back part of
these bad boys, and
oh, he wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't have been an issue then. They would have just done whatever he wanted because they wanted to. If he had one of those bad boys on his head. See, the back part of a tractor trailer's cab is called the sleeper. And in the sleeper, there are air vents. Well, Robert had modified these air vents to hold chains and collars. He also had a briefcase full of whips and sex toys. And, to bring back a little of the scold's bridle, a horse bit. And he would find hitchhikers on the side of the road or at truck stops, or young women that ran away from home, or prostitutes. Many of these women would be more commonly known as lot lizards, people that could go missing for several days, if not weeks, without raising many eyebrows. And he would be long gone by then. It's like, oh, well, she took off, but she always takes off. We'll see her in a few weeks. A few weeks go by. You don't hear anything. Now, all of a sudden, you're looking for her, but she's already dead. Long dead. Yeah. And he would offer these women or girls rides, and once they fell asleep in the sleeper, he would quickly strip them down and chain them up. Then he would do God knows what to them. Anything from piercing their skin with long needles, to whipping them with whips and rods, to assaulting them with an extra big double-sided dildo. And of course...
Where did the other side go?
Well, it's got a head on this end, and it's got a head on this
imagine
end.
Robert Turner gonna back the truck up. Beep, beep, beep.
I mean, possibly. It's like I learned this from Richard Gere.
Yeah.
I don't have any gerbils around, but this might work. And he would keep them for days, if not weeks on end, taking them all over the country, keeping them chained up and nude, putting the fear of God into them, cutting their hair on their heads short like a boy's and trimming their pubic hair. Then, when he was done, he would either shoot them or strangle them and dump the body. Well, this stuff takes time. Yeah, a lot of time. And there was one thing that truck drivers in the 80s and 90s did not have a lot of, was time. It's unlike today, where over-the-road truck drivers have to abide by certain safety standards like required brakes, mandatory 10 hours of downtime, extra time given for bad weather, things like that. They're strict about it too. They watch your time and mileage now. So when I was
the tachographs, I don't know if they have that there. Like, they have a tachograph thing here, which is it's a thing in the cab of the truck that you have to clock in, clock out type thing, and it tells
right.
you.
Yeah, it tells exactly how long they've been driving for, all that stuff. I used to work at a lumber yard. I insulated houses for a long time, and we were waiting for a specific kind of insulation to get to the yard before we go out on a job, and we get a call from the truck driver saying, hey, I'm 10 miles outside of town, but I just hit my time limit, so I got to pull over for a half hour. It's like, you can't just drive the 10 miles and then just take your break here at the lumberyard. You could sit here for as long as you need to. He's like, no, I have to take my break now. So we had to sit there and wait about 40 minutes for this guy to get there because he had to pull over, take his break, and then drive. They're very strict about it because, they're driving on the road and a lot of people's lives are at risk. Well, back then, they didn't have any of that. It was get to where you need to as soon as possible and get back. You ate, slept, pissed in the truck. You had a bottle you piss in, you throw it out the window. Now they have different things you can use, but you didn't stop unless you were completely out of food in the truck and you had to stop and get something to eat or gas. You just didn't stop. So you can imagine how many late shipments there would be if your delivery driver had to stop to, I don't know, kidnap and torture a person.
Yeah.
He's like 9 hours late. What's he doing? Not to mention, and if I hadn't gotten to this point across yet, I do apologize, but Robert was kind of a prick. And he was constantly getting into all... I know, it's a surprise. I hate to just drop it on you like that. But he was a douche. And that's the noise it made when I just dropped that on you. Douche. Because that's what he was. He was a douche. He was constantly getting into altercations with citizens, the trucking company, the people he was delivering to. He got in accidents with the company truck, citations from police. So finally, his position was taken from him, and he was giving a warehouse job as driving a fork truck. They're like, you are horrible at this job.
You can't fit in your BDSM palace into the back of a fucking forklift.
And he did that job until he flipped a stack of bundled wire onto a company truck. So he couldn't do that one. He's shit at everything he does. So he was removed from that job as well and put in a manufacturing shop on wire rolling machine. Well, that is until he became entangled in the machinery and broke his arm.
Nice. Fucking idiot.
He's just so...
It's like, I wonder if this is good for tying people up.
He sees the machine just being wound up, be like, wonder what'll happen if I stick my nipples in it. and it breaks his arm somehow. Now, after weeks on disability, he was laid off. He, of course, blamed Debra for his problems, claiming that her medical bills submitted to the company insurance had caused his layoff, not the fact that you got demoted twice and then broke your arm on the fucking machine. I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. Now, before all this, Deb was suffering from debilitating headaches. Find out later that she actually had lupus.
I said, oh.
Yeah.
My internet connection is unstable, apparently.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, strange.
Okay. Now, the few times these headaches were bad enough for her to go to the hospital, he demanded that they have sex in the hospital bed.
My arm's broken, please.
While laid up after having surgery on his arm, he began renting pornos and forcing her to have sex with him while he watched. The sex became more and more violent. By this time, they were living in a trailer, and after one particularly bad argument, he opened the trailer door and pushed her out. She took her kids to a friend's, and the two seemed to be over. But then, Robert claiming that grease spilling into an open oven, the trailer burnt down. So he loses his job as a truck driver, loses his job as a fork truck driver, breaks his arms into machinery, and then sets his trailer on fire.
This guy's like everybody in Final Destination all rolled into one right now.
And Death's just sitting back there going, almost had him. Again. Jesus Christ. Robert got a hold of her, telling her that he got an apartment with new furniture with the insurance money, and he was somehow able, through the mighty blaze, to save all of her things and the kids' baby pictures. Later on, she will find letters from the insurance company saying that they refused the claim because they found evidence would show that he burnt the trailer down on purpose.
That doesn't surprise me.
Because of course he did. Now, after a night out on the town with him, she relented, and the four moved in with him into the apartment. Then, he took off for work in Georgia. He had landed a job as an over-the-road driver with a trucking firm. While away, he sent her this super sappy, flowery letter just filled to the brim with lovey-dovey bullshit, like, the nights are dark without your fire. and
sorry, 1 second.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I have a box of stuff there that we're packing up and the cat decided to jump into it.
Oh, figure.
Sorry, so your heart's not alive without my fire, Kevin. Is that...
And With my last mortal breath and my first breath my eternal soul shall take, I will tell you I love you. And with every beat, this might be the best, with every beat of what is left of my poor heart, I pray that you will tell me that you will be mine and mine alone. Even though he wanted to watch her fuck other guys. Be mine and mine alone, except for all the times, you're getting strange. I mean, it's so stupid.
I need you to dream.
And he ends it with asking her to marry him.
He ends it with asking her for a three-way.
I want you to be mine and mine alone. This is Steve Cooper.
The barrel guy.
He wears a barrel. There's the reason it's the only thing that can hold his massive junk. No, what he will do, even after he tells her he wants her to be his and his alone, will be even worse than just showing up with Steve Cooper. So, hold on. When he returned on February 11th, she told him yes, and they got married 3 days later on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1987. He already, before she said yes, before any of this happened, he already had the venue, the church, the preacher, the flowers, everything picked out and ready to go. Nice. It's like the church was set up, so all they had to do was walk in. She didn't get to plan any of it. It's like, handcuffs, what if she had said no?
I just realized this thing in my head looks a bit like I have a turkey on my head.
You have a Monica from Friends.
Yeah.
The turkey. It kind of does. It kind of does look like a turkey. Yeah. A very colorful turkey.
It's a turkey that's been left out in the sun for a while. That's what it is.
It's a... I'm not going to say it. Never mind.
I covered for you. Nobody heard you.
It's like those videos where it's like, cover your fart, and they drop a book on the ground, and it's like... Now, the honeymoon phase didn't last long. Now that she was, as he saw it, legally his property, he expected her to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, including returning to the club. He got more demanding and violent in the bedroom, forcing her to have sex even when she didn't want to. The BDSM became more and more prevalent. He even put an ad in a swingers magazine using Debra's photo, requesting a slave for his wife. Letters started pouring in at the apartment for Debra, and one night she returned home to find a strange man there promising to, quote, suck her toes and wait on her hand and foot.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
She yelled at Robert, and the man left. Robert told her she was too narrow-minded. She's like, who the fuck is this? This is your slave. He's going to do whatever you want. He's going to,
You replied to my ad in Swing Life.
Yeah.
Huh.
Didn't I tell you? She was getting a lot of letters at the house and some pictures too. So this was like the original dick pics.
I was going to say, yeah, they're like fucking Polaroids of people's fucking junk.
Pretty much. And she would like throw them in the trash, or she would send the letters back to the people and be like, yeah, no. So she just showed up one day and there's a guy there to be her slave. And she's like, what the fuck? So she yells at Robert. The man leaves, and Robert told her she was too narrow-minded and uptight. She began finding women's underwear in his truck after his trips. He claimed he let someone else borrow the truck, and they must have left them there. Then a massive telephone bill came, filled with 1-900 phone sex calls. And she lived with this for the next 2.5 years. Then, October of 1989, Dan jumps into the story. He's looking around. 1989, you're like, what, 4, 3?
2?
If I kept going, I'd get to 0.
Yeah. Born late 87, so...
Now, there you go.
I show up as a little pudgy baby and I slap Bob up across the face.
You're Stewie. Yeah. You just show up.
Yeah.
Now, Deb had renewed her friendship with her ex-husband, and Robert was jealous. Which, I guess because there's feelings there. If it had just been some dude, he probably wouldn't have cared, but because it was the ex, you know?
Yeah.
One night, the ex came to pick up the kids, and Deb had the audacity to talk to him. My wife and I have had this...
You can't be doing that.
My wife and I have had this argument before when I go to pick up my boys and my ex-wife comes out and we talk for a minute and I come home and I tell her and she's like, you don't need to talk to her when you go pick up the children. It's like, oh, all right, whatever.
It's better that you get on.
Yeah. It's better that we just talk, whatever we need to talk about, we talk about. I could not tell you and then it'd just be a secret. It's better that I'm coming home and telling you about it. So
yeah.
It's okay. She doesn't listen to the show.
Not that we know.
Now, Robert... No, she doesn't. Robert flew into a fit. He demanded sex, which... Okay. You talk to your ex-husband. Let's have sex.
She walks out. Sex. Hi, Tom. Thanks for collecting the kids. And he comes walking out. Tom, I demand sex right now. Bend over, motherfucker. Get in the back of the truck. Let's go. We're going to Wyoming. It's a long drive.
Put those chains on.
Stick.
Now, she refused and went to bed. So he anally and vaginally raped her. Again, there I go, just killing the mood. I apologize.
Thanks for that. We're having such good fun.
Yeah. Then he slept as she cried. She decided it was time to leave. She went to her car, but it wouldn't start. Robert refused to help her, so she called the ex. And Robert again flew into a fury. He threw her to the ground and began kicking her. When he was done, she got up and asked him, quote, "Are you through now?" When he responded that he was, and this might be the best, up until like he gets captured, this might be the best part of the whole fuck. This is the girl shitting on Paul Bernardo. This is the best part of the fucking episode. She went and grabbed a baseball bat and hit him as hard as she could in the arm, quoting, "Fine, so am I," and she left.
Nice.
Boom.
Nice.
Imagine.
That's what we'd call a home run.
Yeah! Bop, bop, bop. Now, I read this and immediately thought of a story from my childhood of just Robert crying about him getting hit by her. Like, my brothers used to fight all the time, and I remember one of my brothers was beating up my other brother, and my other brother stood up and hit him, and he starts crying. And my mom runs in there, and she goes, "What happened?" And he looks at her, he goes, "He hit me back." I just remember, I just think of Robert being like, you hit me back. Okay. It doesn't count. That's not the same thing. I kicked you. You hit me with the baseball bat. Those are two different things. Oh, yours is worse. Because he's such a little bitch.
He really is, isn't he?
Most of
those assholes are like that, or seem to be. You know,
pretty much everybody we've talked about so far has just been a little bitch.
Yeah.
I hope he gets podcasts in his prison cell, and he can hear this.
Can hear this then. Fuck you, Bob.
Yeah, fuck you, Bob.
Hope your arm or wherever the fuck she hit you still hurts, you son of a bitch.
Should have pulled done a Thor and aimed for the head. You know.
Dickhead.
Robert started breaking things in the house. Of course he did. He started throwing a fit. Ooh. She and the kids stayed with the ex until she could get her own apartment. Bob withdrew his $3,000 from their savings account and fucked off to Vegas. Spent it all on sex workers, then boasted to Debra the number of them he experimented with, especially with golden showers, claiming he even gave one a catheter in order to make her piss on him. It's like, where did you get the catheter? Secondly, how do you know how to put in a catheter? Where did you learn?
Bob, no.
Where in trucking school do they teach you I mean, maybe back then they taught you how to put a catheter in so you could piss while you drove and you didn't have to worry about pulling over. I don't know, but it seems like a weird thing for somebody to just know.
He had those women on the back of his truck the whole time for days or weeks on end. He didn't want them pissing all over that bed. So he got catheters with baggies, all that load of shit.
Yeah.
Stopped it from happening.
I mean, that'll backfire
to do it on the fly.
Because it will happen.
Yeah, I know. But look, we've already covered the fact that he's an idiot. So
I feel like you've said that line before. I feel like that's a line I've heard in the past. We've already covered that he's an idiot. Yeah. At least 2 separate occasions. I think I remember you saying that before.
Yeah.
Anyway, Robert showed up about 2 weeks later with a fat lip and scraped knuckles, scratches on his arms and back, claiming that he had been in a bar fight and that machinery from the truck parts had scratched up his body when he was working on it. This will be the last time Deb would see Robert outside of prison. Sometime near the end of 1989, the beginning of 1990, probably while in Texas. Again, muddy information on a lot of this stuff, specifically where things took place. Different accounts for different things. Bodies get spread out over time. But we're going to say it was probably still in Texas. Robert pulled over to the side of the road to pick up a couple of hitchhikers. 24-year-old Patricia Candace Walsh and her 26-year-old husband, Douglas Scott Zakowski. The 2 Seattleites told him they were on their way to Georgia for a religious conference and were hitchhiking there. Robert was all smiles and charm as Patricia climbed into the sleeper and Douglas hopped into the passenger seat. Almost immediately, Robert pulled out his Jennings J22 automatic handgun and killed Douglas, more than likely stopping on the side of the road on Interstate 10 in Ozona, Texas, and shot him multiple times in the head, leaving his body to be found days later. And we know what kind of gun was used because of the bullets found in the body and the casings left at the scene. Just like him being born at 5:20 in the morning, this will be very important later on.
Pop quiz.
We know what kind of bullets were used, and we know when he was born. Yeah. Go get him!
If we can manage to link these 2 things together, we can find our unsub.
I don't know what's going on. It's just a guy like the Charlie meme when he's when he's working in the mailroom, just like
5:20. Load up on casings.
It's 5:20, and there's the red string, and it goes to the bullet casings, to the red string, and then a photo of Richard Gere and to the red string. And a big question I know they're all connected somehow. I'm sorry, Richard Gere. I did not mean for you to get pulled into this, but you did it to yourself.
He hasn't let you go, Richard. That's the thing. He did not mean for you to be pulled in, but by God, he has not let you leave.
I just want him to pick me up and carry me out of that factory. I'll take his hat off and put it on my head.
Inside his butthole.
Yeah.
Uber felching. Just walking
He
out.
was just walking along like, do I hear a gerbil somewhere?
Slammy winks.
Help me. He then took Patricia on a 7-day torture ride through America. Now, there aren't any real details of what Patricia went through during her week of extreme hell, but if we go off of what happened to others, we know she was probably whipped, beaten, pierced, sexually assaulted with objects, including the sex toy, and raped. Yeah. She was then shot 4 times in the head and neck in Millard County, Utah, before being posed in a cross-like manner with her braided hair draped over her shoulder. Now, this is odd because one of Robert's MOs was to cut the woman's hair super short. He didn't do it with her for some reason. I don't know if he just hadn't done that yet, or if he hadn't gotten around to it, or maybe he liked her hair so much that he didn't cut it. Maybe he had a thing for red hair. I don't know. But she didn't have her hair cut like a boy's. Her badly decomposed body wouldn't be found until the end of October. Now, remember, she was picked up in January or December, the end of 89, beginning of 90. Body wouldn't be found until October by a bunch of deer hunters, when she would be named Jane Doe number 1 for the next 13 years. Yeah, none of these have a real quick conclusion to them, just so you know. It's going to be upsetting. Maybe a month after Patricia's death, Robert came across 18-year-old Shayna Holtz inside the restaurant of a truck plaza in San Bernardino, California. And it is with Shayna's god-awful story of survival where we will pick up with a detailed description of what she went through, the tale of Regina Walters and Ricky Jones, the savior policeman, the arrest, and the unbelievable detective work that will span well over a decade to make sure this living piece of shit never breathes free air again, on the conclusion of our Robert Ben Rhoades series and our Season 2 finale. Yeah, the next episode is going to start off pretty brutally. So, trigger warnings. Trigger warnings all over the place.
It's going to start with Kevin rapping. That's what it is.
I'm gonna pull up some old Paul Bernardo writings and just put my spin on them.
Yeah.
Eminem's got nothing on me, man. Thank you to our patrons, Willow Quintala.
Your rap name would be KY Jelly.
Well, that's what I used to go by at school. Remember when KY Not the Jelly? When we played D&D? Yeah, I had a guy was sitting next to me, and this was while we were younger. I had no idea what the shit was. And a guy looks at me, he goes, "Start calling you Jelly." What? KY Jelly. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And I had to find out what KY Jelly was. I was like, oh, ew, that's kind of weird. But yeah, KY Jelly.
Nice.
If you would like to join our Patreon, go to patreon.com/torturepod. You can get a free week at the cult leader tier. You can also get a hold of us, torturepod@gmail.com. Message us on Instagram and, pretty much all the socials. Don't really do anything on X. At torturepod. Rate and review, Apple, Good Pods, Podchaser, all that good shit. Subscribe wherever you listen. Head over to our YouTube page. If you want to see our bright and shining faces, youtube.com/torturepod. Seeing a theme here. Torture Pod is pretty much, what to go to.
Sexy theme.
If you would like to donate, help support us, give us some help, make this even better, you can go to our link tree, or you can go to buymeacoffee.com/torturepod and buy us, I believe it's a pizza right now. Patreon also helps support us. And my favorite way that you could support us, other than maybe the Patreon, is to go to redbubble.com/people/torturepod and get some torture merch. Just like I have on. I'm supposed to have a shirt coming. I got that Brazen Bull shirt is on its way. I was hoping it was going to be here today before we recorded so you could see it. But not so much.
I'm going to order more stuff this summer.
Yeah. I'm going to make some more stuff this summer and order it.
Well, look, this is a perfect image for you right now.
I'm just going to screenshot that and put it on a shirt, and it's just going to be like, here you go.
Yep.
Top seller.
Macho Dan Randy Dandage.
Also, thank you to our sponsors. You can support us by supporting them as well. Dan, any words of wisdom?
Well, as I said already, but I've been very obsessed with the whole J.R.R. Tolkien stuff lately and all that stuff, and I finished reading The Hobbit, and I thought that was a really good old thing that was in the middle of it, where Frodo's getting a bit too big for his boots, and he says, never laugh at live dragons.
Right.
And I thought I must remember that, because I think that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Don't get too big for your boots, people. Don't get cocky. Don't get penisy, kid.
Right about now, my wife would chime in with, "Oh, the sigil for Hogwarts says never wake a sleeping dragon, so that's kind of the same thing." And you would say, well, Star Wars is better.
Yeah. Well, as my uncle Obi-Wan Kenobi said, with great power comes great responsibility. So shut the fuck up.
It's a picture of Patrick Stewart. The quote, "Use the Force, Harry."
Yeah.
Gandalf. It's the best one. Abraham Lincoln said, "Never believe everything you read on the internet."
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
all right.
God,
well,
it's so annoying. Did you know? I don't know if you want me to say about this afterwards. There was a movie.
Good.
Yeah, well, there's a movie inspired by this Bruce Willis movie. I've not seen it, mainly because it has Megan Fox in it, and I'm pretty sure everything she touches is hot garbage.
Yeah.
Sooty, get down. We don't know what the hell this cat's doing. But it's called Midnight in the Switchgrass.
I must have deleted that part. Yeah, I forgot to ask you about pop culture. God damn.
Good.
You know I was gonna wait till the next episode.
Well, you can edit this back around then.
It's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm gonna have the same one next week then.
Well, Megan Fox, you say? Yes. No, I will probably never watch that because she is. Yeah. Everybody online, they'll be like, who's one actor that once you see them in a movie, you immediately turn it off? And she would be probably at least one of those actors for me. She's not good.
We watched something with her in there recently enough, and it wasn't the worst thing I'd ever seen. But that's not saying much.
Like, she peaked out really in Transformers, the first Transformers. Transformers I liked, and I thought she was perfectly fine with that. And Jennifer's Body wasn't bad either.
It's all right.
I thought that was okay. But yeah, everybody's always like, oh, she's so, I find her, she's one of the very few who really attractive, but so annoying and off-putting that it like ruins it.
I think she's gonna ruin herself though. But
yeah.
That's just me. Personal opinion.
Man, we're taking celebrities down left and right today. Who else is
Megan Fox? Fuck you, Megan Fox. We could talk about her boo or ex-boo, Machine Gun from Kelly, if you want. We can take him down a peg or two. Chances are he'll listen to this. He probably has a whole team of people sitting there, like typing into the internet as soon as his name is mentioned to go find them, so that he can go and have a beef with them. You know,
and he can do a horrible rap and try to, You get a fucking rap battle with Eminem. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know, but look, I'm hoping he doesn't listen to this. And you know why? Because he got this to say. Fuck you. Done. Damn, I hate that man.
Roasted. Burn.
Yeah. Somebody better get that man to the ICU. Take care of those burns.
Oh, fuck. All right, we've kept everybody here long enough. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. We'll see you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.